Greetings, sisters. I hope that you are standing in your light and your divinity. And if not, I hope that you are in journey to it. My name is Anat, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel, The Essence of a Woman Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about a very old story. And stories around the world are left to decode, to reflect in, and a lot of different stories that a lot of people follow in the masses and have their own their own perspective and how they break down the meaning, or they take it literally, or they take it as an allegory, as a way to break it down and see the deeper meaning in it. And one of those books a lot of people follow and decode or follow literally is the Bible. And they have older books and older carvings of stories, and a lot of it reflects, and it kind of ripples and kind of mimics different, but they change it, they tweak it a little bit as time goes on. And this story, this particular story, I wanted to say just came to my mind to tell this story, because this story it tells how how a person can have knowledge and be in higher self, and allows one to lower self. And inside all of us, we have a master self, we have a higher and a lower self. And the higher and the lower self, they they fight between the vices and the virtues that we go through, and we go through daily, making choices. And this story is a very old story. It comes from an emerald tablet, and it comes from the story of the soul. And this is in a period of time when they spoke of the children of God and the children of beast. And when you think about the children of God, you would think the children of the people that are elevated in mind, in wisdom, and and they have an insight and is connected to a higher source. When you think of beast, um, they're dealing with a lower self, aggressive, kept down with certain emotion and attached to certain emotion that lashes out, that destroys. Um, Not saying that beasts are all beasts are like that. They have their natural rhythm. They go with an instinct. But when we're talking about the children of God and the children of beasts, this is how one can separate. And and I speak a lot of times in ancient times that we did not operate with 10% of our brain. This is now. We used to have 100% of brain, like that movie Lucy, that she she could use other powers within herself, unlock other powers within herself, because her brain was at 100%. So at this time, you could think of the children of God was operating with that kind of high percentage and knowledge and understanding. So this story takes place that at that time it had a council of wise women, and a daughter of God was at this time was like in a hearing for a son of beast. And he came to them because he wanted to be elevated. He wanted to find his higher self, his master self. He understood in him that the place that he was spiritually, mentally, that needed to be elevated. So he came to this council of women, of wise women, and he pleaded his case. He's like, I want to go through this journey. I will do anything to find my elevation, to be accepted in this society, in this place that I could learn and I could find myself, find my own divinity, find my own like God, because divinity is like come from or like God like. And so he comes there, and this woman, this daughter of God, says, I will speak for him. I will marry him if he go through this task. So put him through a task, give him a task, and if he complete this task, I will marry him. So the council of women agreed that they will give him a certain task for a certain period of time, and if he finished this accordingly, then he will proceed to take this woman, the daughter of God, and have a union. So at this time, this man, goes and does his labor. He's doing his labor, and at that time, it had another woman. She was considered at the time to be a daughter of God. But at this time, she wants to turn the tables around and to be noticed by this man. So she goes to this man while he's doing his labor, his task, and she says, why are you doing this? So they shouldn't have you doing this kind of labor, and you could do anything. You could do anything that you want. And the man says, go away. I am trying. I want to focus. I'm doing my work. So go away. So the next time the woman comes back, she's already her now. She's starting to feel her ego. She's being rejected. So she comes back next time, and she does the same thing. Why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. You're working too hard, and you could have anyone that you want. So you don't need to do this. You don't need to put yourself through this. And the man again, go away. Let me do my job. Let me do my work. Let me do my labor. And she goes away. This time she's more upset. She comes back because this is going on for several times, that she's coming back to this man and trying to have his to turn his attention to her, and for him to leave his task, so he can marry this woman that is willing to teach him, to show him the way, and to connect and to make a union. So the woman comes back, the one that is trying to get his attention, and this time she comes with a jug of water, which she mixed certain herbs that she knew about, and she mixed them, and these herbs will put your conscience side to sleep. So she goes and she comes with this jug, and the man said, why are you here again? I told you several times to let me do my work. And she says, oh, I understand. I just saw you that you were working so hard, so I brought you something to quench your thirst. It is hot. He's been working long hours. So he goes and takes a drink off of the jug that the woman presented to him. So he goes to sleep, his consciousness, but his body and his lower self, his beast-like, is in full mode. So they slept together. After they slept together, he comes to and he's like, what I have done. I have failed because I was supposed to be laboring for the hand of this woman that is going to take me in and elevate me and make me to understand what this whole society is connected of elevation of God, of divinity. So he tries to go back to attend to his labor, but now his flesh is calling to her flesh, and vice versa, her flesh is calling too. So they go in hiding in the darkness to feed their calling of their flesh. And she's telling, and so they do this. And at that time, like I said, they're working with a higher percentage of their mind. So the women, the council of women, knows what's going on. So they called both of them, and the daughter who offered the union was there as well. And the council of women asked the man, "We already know what you've been doing in the dark." And the man apologizes and he says, "Please give me another chance. I I did this. I'm sorry. I just couldn't stop my it's just my flesh and my body." So he's doing his pleading. So when they go and ask, the council of women asks the female, why did you do this? You know that he was to be married to the sister here, and you know what happened. So she said, "Well, I'm a woman and he's stronger than me, and what could I do?" Like, she started to get that energy as the victim, like she had no power. She just doesn't know. He just overwhelmed her with his strength. And it just, that's the answer she was given, like she was the victim in this situation. So the council of women says, "Okay, so now you will go you will go forth and away from this sanctuary and go forth in life, and you will be dominated by men until you find your divinity." And the man in her was shunned from that place. And they were saying, told her that she will be dominated by men, by kings, and she will be under their domination until she finds her divinity. Now, it had a couple of things that this woman did, that she already had the knowledge. She had the knowledge of plants. She had the understanding, and she knew that this man wanted to elevate. And this other sister spoke for him, saw that he was capable of elevating himself to his own divinity. And then the other woman took advantage of that. And as she did that, she was lowering herself from her master to her higher self to her lower self. And she gave up her divinity. She gave up that that like God, like to do right, when she knew she was doing something wrong. And these wise women send her out to find which she has given up. And this story it reflects a lot in me, and I'm pretty sure it could reflect in a lot of women, when we give our power, when we give our power for convenience, when we give our power to settle, when we feel in our intuition, when we feel that is not right, but we just continue. When we feel a surge of power, of understanding, we give it away. We surrender to it. And it has a lot of stories around, even in the Bible with Adam and Eve. Instead of the apple, she gave this jug of water with concoction of what she knew connected to the plants. With Samson, when she Samson was in love with another woman, but Delilah comes and persuades Samson and then betrays Samson, took his strength away. So we have different stories that reflect, but this story here is carved in an emerald tablets. It precedes the time of the Bible and precedes the time frame of when Jesus is supposed to be alive and walk the earth. So this story, when a woman can reflect on it, this could be the mother of those women that is searching for the divinity in earth. It has a lot of religion that women are seen as, even as a girl child is seen to be property of the father, then property of the husband. A lot of cultures, they the father or the husband says what is going to happen with, even with her body. It has cultures that circumcises girls' vulvas. They cut off the clit to take off the sensuality, so they do not feel sensual arousedness, so they don't cheat. It has women that when they get married and they do something wrong that their husband or their father feels, they get punished or they even get sent to death. Even at this time in this culture around the world, it has women getting burned even by their mother-in-law, because now she's already been raised as properties. So she is, when they think that she does something wrong and in their mind that she did a crime, or they think that she cheated on them, they could go into a pit in the ground and cover it up from the shoulder, and she's getting stoned by her husband, by her community, or by her sons. And in society, sons are more, it seemed to be more important. You have some cultures that when a female is born, a girl child is born, they abandon the girl child to have that one boy, that one male. They send them to the forest. It has a forest around it. It has a tradition or a forest that where they send infants of girls and leave them there. It still has that air and that stigmata for females to be seen as lower. That their purpose is to grow up, have to be a good wife to a husband, have children, and that's the most of around the world that they expect for the female, for their path to go, not knowing that they all have their own purpose, they have their own path. It has a lot of parents that if they don't go to this certain college or this certain school, they don't do this certain thing for their expectation. But what happens to their own purpose? They get lost. Maybe she don't want to be a doctor. Maybe she wanted to be an artist. So this story resonate a lot to me. It explains how a book can take from different places pieces and make this whole story to control the masses. Because I'm going to make a video of how, the story breaking down Adam and Eve. Because actually Adam and Eve, the tree of life of two people coming, by the tree of life, that comes from a Greek story. The Romans in the Bible they were famous for taking pieces of things and making their own religion, and everybody around the world, they take the Bible and they transform it in how they see it. But most of the Bible, when you read it, it has a lot of contradiction from the First Testament to the Second. Like just a little piece, because I could get lost when I talk about these things. If when Abel and Cain got into their dispute, and Cain was marked by God and he was sent to the people of Nod, where those people came from, if they were the first family. So it have even more, even when the time when Herod the king was looking for Jesus, when they look into the time from the real time frame, that city wasn't even built. So we, as the person who's taking the journey, I'm about to sneeze, excuse me. Oh, sorry, excuse me. We, as a person that is going into a journey, we have to find the truth. We have to take ourselves and the information that we take in as our path and our journey, because everyone taking a different path, but the same destination. We take the things that we need for our spirit, and then we continue. But we live in such a time of war, of war with each other. We are so used to of taking each other in part in aspects, because that's what they did to the goddess. They broke her down into aspect, and they left the masculine energy as the Godhead. So now we get used to that. Now we get used to just taking apart people in aspects and just judging them from that one aspect, whether it is their background, the shade of their skin, of their color, just so many things that we could break each other apart, because we are so vast, and we are so deep, that we are able to break apart them like pieces, like a puzzle, and then take this one piece and just say, this is what you're all about. So as women, we have been broken into pieces, and as we go into our journey, we pick up the pieces and like, no, this is not for this piece of puzzle. Okay, okay, this one match, without forcing in the pieces. And I'm gonna be saying about it, coming and sharing different stories, folktale stories that were left for women to reflect and see pieces of themselves, or even their whole of themselves in that story. So I leave you with this story, because I'm trying to keep my video underneath 30 minutes and trying to stay in topic, because I could get lost. It is like a sea. It's like an ocean, and it's like the universe when it's talking about the divine feminine energy. So till next time, I wish you much blessing, much love. Be safe out there, and great journey.